You're listening to Procurement 6, the weekly podcast from the team at Art of Procurement that summarizes this week in procurement in just 6 short segments.
Hi there, my name's Helen Mackenzie and today is Friday, August the 16th, 2024.
6.
I've been speaking to quite a few people recently about the challenge of change when a new piece of technology is introduced. We're really lucky in the procurement space, aren't we? We've got new tech all around us, some of it powered by AI to help us elevate our impact, to deliver more value for the business and be very, very efficient. Implementing anything new almost always involves change, and change often takes people from a place where they felt competent and capable to a place where they feel inexperienced and unconfident. And that's why some people resist change, and that's why some people just don't want change. You know, they ask us, what's wrong with doing things the way we've always done them? It's worked this far, hasn't it? We've delivered outcomes, we've delivered success. So my tip for you this week when you're thinking about new technology is don't forget to factor in the people and the impact of change. And then just imagine the impact you're going to achieve when you take them with you.
5.
In this week's episode of The Sourcing Hero, Kelly Barner shared her conversation with Alan J. Rice, Managing Director of Cachet Procurement LLC, a boutique provider of procurement and AI advisory services. The topic of Alan's discussion with Kelly focused on how procurement can lose the fear of failure to succeed, particularly when AI is involved. Let's take a listen.
You know, somebody explained to me one day, I said, if you can kind of think about the revolution back at the turn of the last century that went from horse and buggies to cars, right? All the people that had jobs, whose job it was, for example, to keep the New York City streets clean for horse and buggies to get through, those jobs went away almost overnight. But the flip side is new jobs appeared. Mechanics, gas station attendants. So nobody knows exactly what all those new jobs are going to be that appear. And I think that's the exciting thing now. It happens in procurement as well. I think a lot of the stuff that is kind of mundane in our daily tasks, I mean, I don't know anybody that likes to write RFPs. I don't know anybody that likes to launch purchase orders, right? If those things were just automated and they could focus on stakeholder engagement, relationship building, supplier engagement, strategy, all the stuff that you're kind of in it for. It's like having done procurement for so many years, people ask me, what's the thing you like the most? I like the negotiating. The time I sit at the table and I've got to negotiate something. Because at that point, it's still that human interaction of a buyer and a seller having a discussion over a service or a goods and trying to reach an agreement. Right? I don't like having to cut the purchase order. Those are just necessities.
Great insight there from Alan to help us set things up to succeed. To listen to the full episode, search for The Sourcing Hero and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts or click in the link in today's show notes.
4.
In this week's episode of Love Procurement, Philip Ideson is joined by Chris Sawchuk, Principal and Global Procurement Advisory Practice Leader at the Hackett Group, and Vishal Patel, Vice President Product Marketing at iValua. Now, they discuss some of the high-level findings of the 2024 Procurement Agenda and Key Issues study from the Hackett Group and how it tracks what they've seen transpire as we move through the year. In the conversation with Phil, Chris and Vishal discuss their individual experience and perspectives on the milestones and potential risk areas associated with generative AI, the ongoing struggle to create or free up more time for procurement to spend time on strategic tasks, and what they expect to see emerge as major trends in 2025. You can hear their conversation by clicking in the link in today's show notes or by searching for #LoveProcurement wherever you find your audio entertainment.
This is Procurement 6 from Art of Procurement. To get notified every time an episode is published, go to artofprocurement.com/subscribe. 3.
One of the posts I saw recently on social media talked about the omission of plugs and tables from a new train And they said that this was the result of penny pinching procurement. Now, it's often the case that procurement, particularly in the public sector, gets a hard time in the media for not including everything that's needed in the scope or spec of a requirement. Many times it's actually the business that's left something out. But suppliers often see this and they can come back with suggestions or even in some cases non-compliant bids to try and highlight where things can be improved and where costs can be reduced. So it got me wondering if procurement had a process that encouraged and embraced non-compliant bids, whether the negative coverage of procurement on social media would reduce. Perhaps I'm being a bit naive here, but let's give it a try and see what would happen.
2.
It's never been more important for procurement to have strong source-to-pay capabilities, from the initial stages of need identification all the way to payment, and every step in between. S2P technology can streamline, automate and optimise the S2P process for procurement, enabling them to make better, data-driven decisions for the business. Now the question is, what do we need to take into account when we're buying this tech? This week we've published a new buyer's guide on the very topic, partnering with the team at iValuer to provide insight for you into how procurement can select, implement and maximise the value of S2P technology solutions and ultimately improve the entire S2P workflow from top to bottom. I was absolutely delighted when I had a chance to have a sneaky peek at the guide and wished it had been available when I was a CPO buying tech. It's fab, and it includes key factors to consider before initiating an S2P project, essential criteria for evaluating S2P solutions, common mistakes to be avoided during S2P technology implementation and how to ensure long-term adoption, and the key trends shaping the S2P technology market and how they can impact on your approach to technology selection. So head on over to the Art of Procurement website, to artofprocurement.com/resources to download this free buyer's guide or use the link in the show notes.
1.
Now, before I let you go, I want to tell you about an upcoming AOP event you won't want to miss. Join us on August the 20th as we host the team from Supplier I/O to hear what they've learned from over 200 in-depth ESG risk assessments. Now, they're going to talk about the highest priority ESG risks procurement needs to monitor, how leading companies are mitigating these risks, and how we can help shine a spotlight on suppliers that are exceeding ESG expectations. So register now by using the link in the show notes or by going to artofprocurement.com/calendar.
Thanks for listening. We'll be back next Friday at 6 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time. If you've enjoyed this pod, help us grow and tell your peers to search for Procurement 6 wherever they get their podcasts.